Hello, my friends. In today's episode, I'm talking to Pete, and we're talking about how and when to reach out to past members to get them back again. So if you have a growing list of former members at your gym and you haven't really reached out to them to try and bring them back into the gym, this is a great episode for you. So keep on listening. Hello, fitness business nerds. What's up? Welcome to another episode of the Business for Unicorns podcast. And today I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, Pete Dupuis. Hello, sir.
Hi there, Michael. Thanks as always for
It's
having me.
a pleasure seeing you again. It's always a thrill to have you on the podcast because these are the conversations where I feel like we both are so comfortable diving in and talking about any topic that I love that we usually, dear listeners, this is peeling back the curtain. We usually pick our topic, about 30 seconds before we start recording. And then we just kind of dive right in. And it's honestly some of my favorite podcasts to record because I just love having these conversations with you. So this is just a quick moment to say thank you for being the kind of person I could just get on a podcast and talk to about really fun topics. So thank you.
I like how every time we agree on a topic and we're 15 to 30 seconds out from hitting go, you say, "Hold on a sec, I need to think." And then you just go silent for 10 to 15 seconds.
Yep.
And then you say, "Okay, go." And I see the countdown on the screen and it happens fast. So you move quick once it's in there.
Yeah. Dear listeners, the production value on these is really just so next level. We spend months of research, a lot of scripting. Really,
Well, let's be honest. We actually have a list of ideas that's constantly growing.
That's true.
It's just that it's more interesting, or to me, more compelling to talk about what's top of mind. So when we jump into a call and I say, "Hey, I was thinking we could do this today," you never seem to say no, which I appreciate.
Yep.
And we know that we can fall back on the planning we've done, but that's not fun.
Of course, 100%. We definitely have organization. We have a list. We record every suggestion people give us. But you're right. If something's top of mind, it's like, let's seize the day. Let's seize the moment. If we're thinking about that thing, let's talk about it. And one of the reasons we get away with not having a ton of prep is that we've been doing this for a long time. We've been talking about these topics for a long time. And so recording 20 minutes of our thoughts is often a low bar. So anyway, thanks for this moment of reflection at the start of our podcast. Before we dive into today's topic, I do want to give a quick shout out to our friends at Kilo, who I haven't talked about in a few minutes on this podcast, but one of the biggest pains in the butt for most gym owners these days is finding software that helps you run the business easier. And our friends at usekilo.com are just fantastic. They have a service where they will build your website for you. The website integrates into automations, including texting and emails. So if you are not satisfied with your software, friends, go check out usekilo.com. Tell them you listen to the Business of Unicorns podcast, and they will take good care of you. Yeah, Pete, I know you've talked to a lot of our members who use Kilo as software, and they say great things.
Absolutely. I'll be honest. In the last 24 hours, I've been exchanging text messages with John Franklin about taking a call on the topic. He reached out and he said, and it was his birthday, actually. I was meaning to text him a happy birthday, and instead he reached out to me and said, "How married are you to your website?" And I said, I know very well that I should have called you a long time ago because it is not working for us. It's kind of just there.
It's kind of just there.
So I am taking the Kilo sales pitch inside of the next week.
Yeah.
And I will report back. But I hear nothing but good things. And I love the aesthetics of the pages that they put together, which is why I'm ready to take that dive.
Yeah, 100%. For those of you who don't know, John Franklin's one of the founders of Kilo, good friend of ours. And honestly, I don't recommend it just because he's our friend. I recommend it because it's friggin' good. I wouldn't be talking about it if our clients weren't using it successfully. And so, go check it out, my friends. So on to today's topic, which is re-engaging and getting back past clients. And this is a really important one. In fact, I think, right at there at the top of the low-hanging fruit list is getting referrals from existing clients. Right alongside that or with it is bringing back old clients or former clients. Before you even spend a single moment trying to find new ones, you got to be checking those first two boxes. So can you talk a little bit about how have you approached this at CSP over the years? How have you approached getting back former clients?
My mindset on this is the first step is doing a nice job of parting ways with clients.
Mm-hmm.
So when someone, if they're kind enough to communicate with you that they are moving on, which some do, some don't. Sometimes they fall off the radar and they stop responding to your messages. But the ones who say, I'm going to take a pass on this for a little while, or I'm going to try something different, or I need to clear my head and reimagine my approach to the weight room, fine. Any of those things. It's really important that we accept that feedback or that message or information gracefully, and then try to be a supportive but not abrasive person in their ear in the months to follow. So not like a 1 week out check-in, hey, do you regret your decision? But maybe 90 days out, hope things are well. I thought of you recently when I read this article, just kicking it your way. Let me know if you ever need anything. And then maybe at the 1 year mark, it's a, hey, can you believe it's been a year since you left? I hope you found an awesome service offering elsewhere. But if not, we'd really be thrilled to welcome you back. So let me know what's up. And they're really easy messages to send. And they, even if they go untouched, there's always a nice long list of people who used to train with us. And the longer you're in business, the longer that list gets. That's the unfortunate reality, but we can't retain 100% of our business. And it's just, to me, the lowest hanging fruit. It's a great place to start when someone says, I got to re-up. And in our quarterly planning recently, John and I agreed we were going to target a certain number of strength campers in the next 90 days. And the first thing we did was send an email to 3 to 5 former strength campers, and we reactivated one of them that day.
Wow.
And so it's just a path of least resistance, if you ask me. The contact info is confirmed. The cultural or personality fit is confirmed. We know their ticks, and we have an opportunity to get a do-over if we do it right. Sorry for being long-winded.
No, that was great. I think you said a lot of what I think I have to say about this, but I love that you started with, actually, this was my number one as well, is that re-engaging past members is just not possible if you're burning bridges. If people walking out the door with a bad taste in their mouth, or feeling slighted or feeling shamed or feeling embarrassed about their leaving in any way, shape, or form, you don't get them back. You don't get them back. So I think, I was going to list 3 things, and the top thing was going to be have a good breakup, right? So you covered that already. The other 2 things you mentioned, I'll just maybe say the same but a little different, was number 2 is you have to stay top of mind. Right? They have to be regularly hearing from you. And whether it's a cadence, like Pete mentioned, like 90 days out and then 1 year out, or, seasonally, doesn't matter, but there has to be some pulse with which they're getting reached out to as a former member. It's great if they're on your regular newsletter list, if they're getting regular emails that everyone's getting, but they don't speak to them as a former member. So I think on some regular pulse, I think quarterly is ideal. And quarterly, you should be reaching out to every past member. Have a separate email list for every past member. Have a separate text list for every past member. And if you can, at least quarterly, send an email to all past members, something specific about being a member in the past. And then people who left you 90 days ago, a year ago, text them. Right. And the reason, and that's maybe maybe in the third pillar here, is that once in a while, you have to have a specific, highly personalized ask. Yeah. Some highly, we have a relationship with these people. These aren't strangers. These aren't suspects, people out in the world who know you exist. They're not even prospects, people who've just raised their hand. They're people you have a relationship with. In many cases, people who've come to your gym for years and just don't come anymore. So I think that the third thing is that once in a while, there has to be a very specific, ideally highly personalized ask. And usually that comes from someone with which they had the relationship. So if it was the owner or a specific coach or even a front desk person, right? Someone who they had a connection to should reach out with something very specific, right? Hey, Pete, it's been over a year since we saw you last. I hope your dog is doing fine. And we love, just like Pete said, we'd love to have you back if you haven't found a fitness solution yet. How are you, right? Has to be personalized. So those are my 3. If I had to create like a framework for it, is make the breakup good. Stay top of mind by being in touch with them as former members. And once in a while, have a specific personalized ask for them because it's someone you have a relationship with. It's like reaching out to an old friend from high school with some generic offer. It's like they're your friend from high school, right? Say, be a human. So those are the 3 things I think are most important. And as normal, our ideas overlapped a lot there.
I'm intrigued to learn, do you integrate anything on this front during an exit interview? Do you communicate to somebody that you intend to reach out in the future, or do you just let that be and let the dust settle?
Yeah, great question. I think I don't actually know what we currently do at MFF. I haven't looked at that SOP in a minute, but I know at Business for Unicorns, in terms of our Unicorn Society members, I do all the exit interviews for folks who leave our Unicorn Society, and I absolutely tell them that I will be in touch. I absolutely tell them, like, hey, I hope you find the support and resources you need outside of this group, and I'm going to follow up to make sure you do. And then I do.
Yep.
Reach out to them, email. They stay on our email list. We also have special offers for former members from time to time. We invite them first to come back to enrollment periods. And at MFF, I think we do something similar. I don't know if it's as formal, but I'm sure that we are. I know we're reaching out to former members in all the ways I mentioned. Whether we tell them that in the exit interview, I'm not sure. But I think it's something fun to play with. Why not?
Yep.
Just be upfront with them. Like, we hope you find whatever this next chapter of your fitness career is, your fitness life is. We hope it's great for you. And if it's not, just know this door is always open. Even if you don't tell them you're going to you're going to follow up, at least tell them you are always welcome here. Like, please come back anytime. Because what I found, and now I'm being long-winded, so you can shut me up if you need to. But what I found when I run into past MFF ninjas on the street sometimes, many of them have been very upfront with me by saying, you know what? I'd be like, hey, you haven't been to MFF in years. How are you doing? And many of them will straight up tell me, I've not come back because I'm a little ashamed of all the weight I lost. I've not come back because I'm a little ashamed that I haven't been there in so long. I haven't come back because, we've done our best to reach out, but they're like, I know I've been ignoring you guys. I've been ignoring all your outreaches because I'm just a little embarrassed by how inflexible I am now, how I have to start from the beginning again. That's the most common sentiment I hear from past members. And so we have to go above and beyond to kind of break that pattern in people to say, no, you're always welcome. Of course, our fitness journey is not a straight line up and to the right. It has ups and downs and highs. That's okay. Come back even if you don't feel like you're at your best. We'll help you get back there again. Right? Yeah. And I'm sure you see that in athletes too.
Well, the most common piece of feedback I get on this front for the people who do re-engage, they almost all say, I've been meaning to reach out.
Yeah.
Which is just a reminder to me that I'm not doing enough of this.
Yeah.
There's got to be a lot of people out there, because we're talking in the thousands of number of people who have come through our gym who have since moved on, kind of because of the transient nature of our kind of unique clientele, people coming in and out from all over the country. But I'm not saying that we get universal positive responses from people who I do the outreach to. I never get negative. I get ghosted. But on the ones who do respond and say, I'm thinking about this, they always say that. I've been saying to myself, I'm going to reach out for a while. It's funny to hear from you now, which typically tells me I should be doing more of this.
Yeah.
The other tip I'll give people, maybe it's not a tip, I don't know how I feel about it necessarily, but one of the moves I make is that I don't really clean our CRM list that often, because occasionally I like to email everyone in. We use PushPress, and I like the FOMO component of it.
Oh, sure.
So if I'm doing like a scheduling update, I am mistakenly showing up in some inboxes of people who don't train there anymore, and they can hit the unsubscribe or whatever that button looks like, but they willingly created a profile in this system, and just because they're not spending money with us anymore doesn't mean by default they stop getting that email your entire list type message that I send off. So when I want to update people on holiday hours or something along those lines, I will email active and inactive clients, and nobody realizes one way or the other what my intent was. But I'm hopeful that somebody that creates that FOMO dynamic where they are saying to themselves, I really should reach out to them. I'd like to get in there for a Thanksgiving Day training session. That was always a fun tradition.
Yeah.
And when that email goes out, I am somewhat intentionally letting it go to people who I know may not see it as relevant in the here and now.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's so smart. I think it's because what it does is it has you, it's basically like you're reaching out, but not making any asks. Just like, I'm just present in your inbox, and you know that we still have stuff going on. And if that inspires a feeling in you of wanting to return or reach out or come join us, great. And if not, just delete it. It's okay. Just consider it an oopsie, right? Like it's such a light reminder. I love that. I think, all too often we we should probably include former members in more communications, right? Like even if we're having a special, a celebration, appreciation for current members, and we're going into a happy hour, or out to a bar, or doing a 5K run together, or any sort of community event, why not invite all your past members? There's really no reason not to. And all it is a big open ask to say, hey, we still consider you part of the community. Why not come? We're doing a special member appreciation, even though you're not currently a member. We'd love to appreciate the years that you are. We're doing a 5K run together. We're doing a fundraiser together. We're having a special barbecue. Like, why not invite past members as a way of just keeping them in the loop? And I think most people, us at MFF, and I think even at Business for Unicorns, we could probably do that more to make sure that people who are no longer members still feel like we consider them part of the family.
Yeah, that's rule number one with charity events for us.
Yeah.
Reach out to former clients. They like to see it as a no risk, easy way to re-enter the community for a defined window of time and then step away gracefully without anyone hitting them with a pitch. And so it's refreshing. It's like our charity events are like homecoming events. And it's fun because we don't sell hard against that with people who have been there in the past, because the reality is it's not like they are unaware of the service. If they have a great experience and they want to open that conversation, they will. We do not need to put the hard sell on.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Well, I mean, just because we both agreed that a big part of being able to engage former members is to break up well, can you just say a little bit about how you make sure that you're having a good breakup? How do you make sure like a termination conversation ends well?
Well, it's rare that we can facilitate an exit interview in our space.
Yeah.
Because the relationship dynamics are different from, say, a Business for Unicorns, like a unicorn society scenario where there's so many high touch point interactions and it's a much more significant fiscal investment.
Yep.
So for me, this is just a matter of being mature adults. If someone says, thanks, but I'm moving on, then it's as simple as saying, thank you for your business to date. We're here anytime you need us.
Yeah.
But the best advice I can give to business owners is to separate the emotional response from client defections.
Sure.
And I had a huge problem with this early on. I had a really difficult time appreciating the fact that everyone is going to move on, including the people that you thought were going to be lifers. And those were the ones that stung the most to me, the people who were kind of like foundational members, but they moved on with their life. They move on to a new stage in life, or they maybe moved to a different community. And I still had a hard time reconciling the fact that it just wasn't a part of their world anymore when it was my world. And so the best advice I can give to people who are running young-ish operations and are dealing with their first handful of client defections is to understand that this is going to happen to you literally hundreds of times if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Lucky enough to be in the game for long enough. And if that means sleeping on it before you respond to an email or return a phone call, then so be it. Because you can't get in trouble with an outgoing client for not responding to their email quickly enough, saying thank you for their business.
Yeah.
So if it means it takes you a whole weekend to cool down, then take the whole weekend. But you have to send the cordial response on the back end.
Yeah. Well said, my friend. I remember I had an issue with that very early on at MFF as well. Like I processed all of our terminations, and there are people who I considered like my friends leaving. They were genuinely my friends, not just I consider them. They were my friends who had to move on for one reason or another. And it was hard. There are moments where I wanted to be like, what the F is wrong with you? Like where else are you going to go? But, I had to find a way to approach those conversations that allowed myself to, honor my feelings, but then set them aside and do the job of taking care of the people. And so, I think my advice, if you can do it, and certainly we do this at MFF, if someone wants to terminate, we kind of require that they talk to us. Right? We require they talk to us. We can support them through that transition of leaving. And certainly we offer them options to change their mind, right? In some cases, requiring a termination conversation, you find out that people really just need to freeze for a few weeks. They just need a pause. Or you find out they really just need to downgrade because they need to come a little less. Or you realize they just actually haven't been getting the attention they need in small group personal training. So we need to adjust their programming because they haven't felt really seen, right? So sometimes you will find ways to really catch them and support them and keep them. But if not, we have really clear ways for people to get off the ride, right? And leave. Even if people have year-long memberships, we have a termination fee they can pay to get out at any time. We have a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if people early on aren't having a good time, they can get off the ride quickly. And we try to make that as like pleasant and kind and low pressure a situation as possible, so that even if they don't come back to us someday, they're out in the world saying they're good people. They cared about me. Like it was a good place to be. I felt supported. Even though it didn't work out, I'd recommend it. You should go try them. Right? That's a win.
Same rule applies to outgoing employees,
right?
Interns, everything.
Yeah.
Your brand is out there on full display based on how they choose to discuss it. How about I close with one simple tactical piece of advice for someone who's kind of like, all right, this makes sense, but how do I start?
Great.
If I were you, I would open up my calendar either 1 year ago today or 2 years ago today. And I would look at the clients that I onboarded on those days, and anyone who isn't here right now, I'd send a very simple email. Hey, ! I was just reviewing our performance metrics from previous years, and I saw your name and I thought, hey, I should reach out. Can you believe it's been 2 years to the day since we did your initial assessment?
Yep.
Anyway, hope you found the next thing. If you didn't, we can be the thing. It would be awesome to see you. We'll do a complimentary reevaluation if you'd like to come on in the next week or two. Done.
Love it.
You don't need to dig your list. You don't need to harvest names or go back in time and remember difficult interactions. All you have to do is say, what was I doing 2 years ago today?
Yep.
And you might have one person, you might have 4 people, I don't know. It could be 2 years ago this week. But the point is you have a defined anchor that you can talk about in their inbox, and it makes sense why you showed up.
Yeah. Well said, my friend. I love that. It's so sustainable too, right? So if you just do it for a year ago and then 2 years ago, whatever it is, just pull that list. It can't be more than 1 to 5 people that you offboarded in any given day. Right? Most of us don't do the volume to have like 10 people we offboarded a year ago today. I hope not, unless you have some sort of seasonality, maybe if you have some seasonal programs. But it's
it can be the offboarded and the onboarded.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
You could do new clients a year ago today as well that you just didn't hold on to.
Yeah. Amazing.
That's why 2 years ago feels better.
Yeah.
You're like, I can be at peace with someone leaving 2 years ago. But when you look at 1 year ago, you're like, wow, I really dropped the ball considering I forgot that person trained here and it wasn't even 366 days ago.
Totally. Yeah. I think that's a great takeaway. I'll add one more, which is this theme of like, you can't get them back if you had a bad breakup. I'm really stuck on this, and there's lots of ways to outreach. We can, I even shared someone I talked earlier about, quarterly reaching out via email, reaching out personally via text, making sure you're reaching out to people who you had a relationship with. So we already covered a lot of other tactics, but the one that I think really I want to drive home is make sure you have a good off-ramp process. Go back, and if you don't have one yet, create a standard operating procedure for your exit interview to make sure people have an off-ramp that is kind and warm and that they feel taken care of even as they're exiting. And then you're more likely to get them back someday when their life is in a place where that makes sense. And so I think these are 2 great takeaways. Let's leave it there, my friend. Yeah. Thanks for the great chat. Listeners, if you thought this was valuable, please leave us a 5-star review everywhere you listen and email us, Michael and Pete at businessunicorns.com. Those are our emails. Let us know, what you want us to talk about next on these podcasts. Who do you want us to have as the next guest? And don't forget to go check out our friends, Kilo at usekilo.com. And Pete, I'll talk to you on the next one.
Thank you, sir.